I don't know about you, but I have the problem that I tend to follow other people. It's not that I want to do it or that I agree with them so much, but it's just easier than making my own choices. Especially in those easy tasks when I'm traveling or when I need to pick up a restaurant. I'm like a rabbit staring at all those carrots and I cannot choose one. It is actually easier to do what the teacher wants you to do or what your boss requires of you. And it is also easier to follow the trend of what's cool. But when the time comes and I have to make my own decision, even go against the grain, make up my mind and be strong, I don't know how. Because up until that time, I've relied too much on other people's opinions and expectations. And it's not about my whole personality. I have a lot of strong opinions about many things. But when it comes to choosing something which I don't know, I tend to follow other people. So, how can we become this brave person who knows what to do? Hello friends and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about how to be more authentic when it comes to conversations with other people and how to be more brave. I realized that I had to make my own choices when I applied for a scholarship in China and also when I met my boyfriend at that time, because some people, they didn't like my choices and they were not happy about them. But I have to say that I stand behind them, and I went to China even for the second time. I spent there 5 years altogether, and it taught me a lot about being authentic and about being me. But at the same time, sometimes it was much more easier because I had a lot of new friends, and especially with Chinese friends, they would just take me somewhere to some restaurant and I wouldn't have to do anything. They would take me there and they would even pay for me, which was so surprising for me because in the Czech Republic we usually split our bills half-half. But when it came to my own life, I didn't want to stand out too much because I hated being criticized. And I still do, honestly. But then my husband and a friend of mine told me that I should make my own decision and go for it, especially when it comes to my job. Because I don't want to say that employment is bad or anything. I just didn't like the fact that I'm working for someone and there is almost nothing I can say. That's why from the beginning I had my dream about freelancing and doing business. And after a few years of being employed, I finally stepped out from it. I started working as a translator and subtitler, which was like a dream job for me, because when you are doing subtitles, you are watching series and you are watching movies, and it's not about only translating, but the job is very creative. I always love to work with languages, and at the same time it's kind of a, let's say, psychological way too, because when you translate subtitles, it's not translating word from word, but you need to really understand the meaning behind it and also the personality of the speaker and the situation and all the things, and then you can translate it into something much more interesting and beautiful, just translating it word by word. And why am I saying this? Because being a freelancer, it's like a step into the darkness and you don't know what's ahead of you. There are also people who don't support you in your decision, especially from the beginning, where they see that you are struggling, you cannot find enough jobs or you are paid very badly. Because when you're a freelancer, you need to know that from the beginning you will have the worst jobs probably, or they will not pay you well just because you don't have enough expertise. But after a couple of years, after you tried many types of jobs, you can choose your own expertise and it becomes much more easier to find customers that really trust you. And that's when this feeling of being brave comes into my mind. Because every time when you go back home to your family, I mean, for example, to your parents, and they don't understand why you left your job because of this crappy freelancing business, you need to stay your ground. And I think that I probably couldn't do it if there wasn't for my husband and a friend of mine who showed me all the things that I needed to know to become a translator. I have to say, I really needed that. Because when I was employed, I felt like a part of me was missing. And I wasn't fully myself. That's why I needed to kind of become more independent. I hated that I had to ask for permission to visit a post office every time, or also I hated waking up so early because I'm a night owl. And also in one particular job, I hated that for 5 days in a week I didn't see the sun because it was the winter, and I went to the job before the sunrise and I left it after the sunset. So I was feeling like there is always darkness in my life. And I was really depressed because of that. My soul was telling me that I had to do something where I would be my own boss. But still I kind of struggled to decide what I should do. There is one thing I really work hard on, and it's to be authentic. I think that when you are authentic and nice to other people at the same time, you will be accepted. And the uniqueness which everybody has is the thing which we love each other for. Have you ever thought that your partner does something like really weird, but that's the thing you love them for, right? Or your friend is very talkative and talks about many things you have no idea about, but that's you love her for, right? Or your grandpa can be maybe grumpy and a bit critical towards other people, but at the same time you love him and you like his whole personality, even if sometimes it makes you mad. So I think that everybody has their own uniqueness, which is really interesting for some of us. And these personality traits kind of tend to attract those people who really like them. And that's why we shouldn't be afraid of being ourselves and speaking from our heart. Feeling that it sucks. Recently I listened to a very interesting book from Brendon Burchard, 6 Habits of Growth, where he said that feeling bad about your life, feeling that it sucks, it's not a bad thing. It was so mind-blowing. He said that those are actually signals to change something, and we should not let those signals unnoticed. But it also means just, it's okay if your life sucks right now, but we need to know how to change this. How to be more authentic towards ourselves. How can we change when we feel that something is wrong, that something sucks? So first of all, we need to set our goals. But how do we know what our goal is? In that book, 6 Habits of Growth, he says that you can imagine your future, like our better future, what we want from it. Is it to be more with your friends? Or is it living in a nice house? Or is it to be successful in your business? But I also think that it's very important to be kind of realistic about it, but not to put yourself low. Abdaal in one of his videos says that it's kind of good to imagine how you want to live in the future, but kind of imagine it in detail. For example, what would you be doing on this ideal Thursday in 5 years' time? Would you have children? Or would you meet friends for a picnic? And where would you live? What would you wear? Also, I heard from him another idea, which is a bit morbid, is to imagine yourself on your deathbed, thinking about your life, like was it worth it? And what was the best thing about it? What would be the best memory? Of course, our goals should be in our reach, but at the same time there is a saying that we tend to overestimate what we can achieve in one day, but we tend to underestimate what we can change in 1 year. And I think it's even more in 1 year versus 5 years' time. When we are used to just follow, it's hard for us to think about what we really want. Self-doubt. But then when we already know what we kind of want from life, self-doubt comes. There's another interesting thought, and it was that self-doubt is actually good. Again. But when the self-doubt sets in, many people stop what they are doing. Especially those of us who kind of tend to follow. When we feel that we are not good enough to achieve the goal we have, we put ourselves in the role of loser. But again, self-doubt is not the reason to stop. It is more like a signal to learn, to explore, and to get ready for what's coming. In the book, he also points out that, and I totally agree with that, that the voice that criticizes us usually isn't ours. That it's usually fueled by other people who gave us some kind of a label. Sometimes it's a parent who had unrealistic expectations and was constantly disappointed. Then our inner dialogue might mirror their disapproval, and it can influence how we see our achievements and setbacks. It could be something like, even as a child, you couldn't enunciate well and you stuttered. So it's only natural that you are not good at presentations now. Sometimes it's the societal expectations that were ingrained in us since childhood. Messages like boys don't cry or girls shouldn't get angry otherwise they look hysterical can create a constant inner dialogue that kind of undermines our true self. Or it might be your previous boss who constantly undermined your contributions and who made you doubt in your professional abilities. So next time, when you doubt that you can do something, think about whose voice was that you are hearing. Because very often, it's not your own voice. How can we become self-confident and more authentic? And the answer is practice. When getting confident, we need to practice a lot in that area we don't feel confident in. There is a hack for it. We don't need to always practice in reality. Especially when it's not possible to give speeches every day, you can actually practice in your own mind. And when I heard about this hack, I was like, wow, this changes my whole perspective at almost everything. This hack I found in a book, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. He argues that our brain does not distinguish too well between memories, our experiences, and ideas. That means that if we just imagine ourselves doing something, our brain can be tricked into thinking that we really did it. So if we are really afraid of doing something, this hack can actually help us to overcome this problem. So how to do it? We basically just need to vividly imagine a kind of a little movie in our head. And the movie would be about the situation we have problem with, and we should imagine how we would react if we were the ideal ourselves. If we spend few minutes each day imagining ourselves in those scenarios we have problem with and we want to take control over them, we can feel much better when the situation really comes up and our reaction will be better. I tried this hack, for example, when I was having an important meeting with a doctor and I knew that I would be kind of shy and I wouldn't know what to ask about. But that appointment was very important for me. That's why I imagined myself talking to that doctor and being very confident, asking all the questions I needed to ask. And I have to say, it really helped me. Also, people use it in different places like golf players or when people are giving a speech in front of a crowd and they are really nervous. This helps a lot because your brain then thinks that it gave already many more speeches and it's much more experienced. Or there is a silly thing I have problem with. Usually when I go to visit somebody and they give me food, I have problems to refuse. There's two reasons for it. First, I love food. And second, I don't want to disappoint the person who gave me the food. So there is the pressure to just accept everything and to eat all the things. And that's why this hack really helped me. Before I went to visit a friend of mine, I imagined myself how I'm refusing the food in a very polite way and how I don't even say 10 reasons why I'm refusing. I'm so sorry, I'm full, I already ate and I need to get ready, I need to lose weight. This is so good, but I shouldn't eat this, blah 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 blah. Not like this. I feel that when I say no to something, which I'm totally entitled to, and I give too many reasons, that means that I'm not entitled. And it's kind of putting me down in front of those people. So I don't like that, and that's what I'm working on in my mind. So I practice this technique in my head. I imagine myself all the scenarios when the friend gave me something like a pizza or a cake or something and I say, oh, thank you, I will just have one bite and that's it or something. And that really works. So this is like the best hack ever for being more authentic and being more yourself in those stressful situations. There's another hack of mine I use. I don't think that I have heard anybody saying like really how I say it, but I'm sure that many people know about that. I call it overcoming your own shadow. And this technique is also for those stressful situations when you have to talk to a bunch of people or you go to an event and you know that you will have to talk to very interesting and important people. The hack comes from the thought that we tend to focus too much on ourselves, on how we look, how we talk, and how other people perceive us. But actually when we realize that other people are focused on themselves too, it's actually freeing because then you find out that, oh, not so many people actually look at your dress and not so many people look how you stuttered in front of them and that you had a stupid question. So if I talk to somebody and I know that the person is important and I'm sweating and I'm like, I don't know what to do, then I try to focus on them, how they react, what they say, and probably how they feel about this, how they feel in this event. And this is like really mind-blowing, how it makes you much more calmer, much more focused on the conversation, and it also makes you less selfish person. So for me, when I realized that I'm like too much focused on myself again and I should be focusing on other people more, I try to put myself out there, to try to feel what they feel, but not about me, but about all the things, about their life and about what they say. It actually releases you and makes you free. We need others. Also, as humans, we are not usually total loners and we need other people around us. So when we want to become more brave and being more authentic, it can help you to kind of look for the people who have the same opinions. Because when you have always to fight other people around you, your family and friends who on this particular thing have totally different opinion, it's really hard to still stay your ground. But when you know that there are other people who have the same opinions as you have, it becomes much more easier. Because even with our normal friends or our family, we don't have to be the same as they are. And we can act even totally opposite. But that's about authenticity, and that's about figuring out what works for you. This is important about how to become an authentic person, because other people may not like us all the time, and some people can even hate us for what we are. But as I said before, we kind of attract those who like the traits we have, and that's the best support. I think it's sometimes important to go out with all your heart, because in this world there is only one you, and it's you, and you should be proud about it. Now, if you are interested in these kind of topics, I'm pretty sure that you would like my previous video about how to express your love to yourself in affirmative words, and this thought comes from 5 love languages. So thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye!